let's just say you hit your 8-iron 150 every once in a while, but your average isn't 150. That's your best 8-iron. Your average is probably 140 when you take everything in consideration. Make sure you're thinking of that average of what you're hitting that, not just your best, because that's one in how many times do you actually hit that. I'll run in that trouble when I play. I'm like, well, if I smoke this, I'll hit it 198. Well, that doesn't happen all the time. You got to play smart this game if you want to score well.
Golf Smarter number 807 is brought to you by relieffactor.com/golfsmarter. Simple advice on how to score lower by playing golf smarter with Erik Schjolberg.
This is Golf Smarter, sharing stories, tips, and insights from great golf minds to help you lower your score and raise your golf IQ. Here's your host, Fred Green.
Welcome back to the Golf Smarter podcast, Erik.
Fred, thank you for having me back. It's a pleasure.
It's great to have you on. We had so much fun last time. Actually, I was having a business meeting with a company, a golf company recently, and I told them the name of the episode that we did together, which was, if you're not practicing with feedback, stop practicing.
Yeah.
And that was something that you said during the show. And they were like, oh, wait, we're going to write that one down. They love that. And I'm only going to tease this now because we decided not to record an episode because their product's not on market yet. But they have figured out how to put a chip in a golf ball so that you get all the data that you get on TrackMan, you get it from the ball itself.
Wow.
And if your ball is in the woods and you can't find it,
yeah,
you pull out your phone and it'll direct you right to it.
I always wondered when that was coming. I mean, you figured it
on the way.
At some point. It's on the way.
On the way. Yeah.
Gosh,
and
I can't even. That's got to
stay
just blow
tuned
the
to Golf
market
Smarter
up.
for that one.
Oh
yeah.
my gosh, that's crazy. I knew
It's
it had
awesome.
to come at some point. That's wild. Wild. Yeah. It's neat.
So I just want to publicly thank you for the support and the great letter that you wrote to me about episode 800. That was really, apparently it touched you in a way that I didn't anticipate it reaching anybody.
Well,
but
it's you do these podcasts, over 800 of them, and we get to know you a little bit, but
which I try to avoid.
Yeah, right. Yeah, and you do a great job of letting the guests speak, and so it was. But we do get to know you because we hear you so much and, want to know more about who is this guy, Fred, that's been doing this so long, and just to hear these backstories. And then it's just, I find it just interesting. Everybody has these interesting stories in life, and just, there were so many touching things that just, I was blown away with, just like you and your wife going away on the honeymoon. Everything's hunky-dory, right? Honeymoon, come back jobless.
Yep.
How's that? I mean, both got jobs when you leave and you come back jobless. Hey, here we go, honey. This is how we start. So it's just, everything isn't perfect in life. And but there were, just the people that interviewed you, and it was special. It was something neat.
Thank you.
1600, you got to do it again.
No, 1600. I don't know if I'm going to still be breathing at that point. But, it's interesting because most of the feedback that I've received from 800 was about, love that story about your honeymoon. That was amazing.
They love that one.
Yeah, that was a favorite story.
What about Bobby Jones? Much about that?
Oh, man, Bobby Jones, the fourth, Bobby Jones' grandson. We just went to places that, because I had felt like I had opened myself up in a way that I'd never had before. He was saying things, he wrote back to me. I was like, I opened up in a way I've never opened up in all these interviews I've ever done. It was really special because we had similar experiences of losing family members when we were young.
Which really affects you. Yeah.
And, and I feel for my friends and for who lose parents when they get older. And, my condolences to you. I'm so sorry.
Well,
but
it was touching to me, Fred, that you called me within a week after my father passed. And it was touching that you called me. It was neat. It really meant a lot.
Dude, you wrote to me and you open up the email with my dad passed away last week, and I was listening to that. I was like, "Whoa, wait a minute! No, oh man, I'm so sorry."
Well,
I
one
had
thing
to
is
call you.
as I've gotten older, one thing is I do, like you said, you put yourself out there and make yourself vulnerable. I feel like I do that more and more as I get older, just to tell people about things that, maybe, so about, like, you were part of my dad's last days of me telling him about podcasts to listen to, of the, your throwback ones, and the
Oh, the radio
baseball.
baseball cards.
Radio baseball, because my dad was so into baseball, and then also
Awesome.
telling him my dad and it was in, I think, the last time I talked to him, we're talking about you and your affiliation with the Cardinals, and the
Fantasy
broadcast booth.
play-by-play.
Yeah, and he even remembered that up there, being
Wow.
there. Yeah, so
Wow.
it's
That's awesome.
it's so I just felt like I had to tell him, because over half of my last conversation was about you, and also he had listened to our the podcast that we did together. So it's you were around for the last week of his life, and but it was neat. I'm glad he got to hear that stuff. That was neat. So
yeah,
and that's cool. You do that stuff not just for him, for a lot of other people. So
I'm not going to give you advice because you're here to talk about your expertise, but I just want to warn you. You may want to think twice about watching Field of Dreams right about now.
Oh, probably.
Yeah,
yes.
I just finished watching it again.
Oh,
and because your connection with your dad was so much about, you may want to watch the movie. It may be cathartic for you.
I put that. I have some time to go before that stuff.
yeah, I bet. But just be prepared when you watch it. When you watch it, be prepared.
It'll come flowing.
Yeah.
But thank God, you think about that stuff, and I've talked to my wife about it. Thankfully, we're able to have those good memories. And even if you can cry about it, some people don't have it. So thankfully, those are, we have that ability, some of us. So it's a good thing. Yep.
Great. Well, speaking of,
yes.
Your turn.
Your golf game. I want to ask you about your golf game. How your golf game is.
Right now, I'm probably playing the best golf of my life. I just went over I was reviewing my last 20 rounds, and to create the handicap, they throw away the 10 highest scores, and they
12 now.
Oh, they take 12? Really?
Yeah, it's only eight that counts since they changed it. Yes.
Oh, wow. Well,
yeah.
So I didn't realize that, and it makes it even more compelling because if I throw away my 10 highest scores, which my highest score was 90, I did that once. That left me with 10, and 7 of those rounds were in the 70s.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
That was a big wow for me. So now you're telling me that 7 of the 8 were in the 70s.
Unless I'm forgetting, so I get confused around the 2019 change of all the changes that they made. I'm pretty sure that's true. Either way, it's still massive.
Either way, my goal has always been to have more rounds in the 70s than in the 90s. Once I was able to break 80, then it was like, all right, now how can I get to the point, where I'm going to have more rounds in the 70s than in the 80s, than in the 90s, and just trying to eliminate those, because before that, the goal was eliminate the triples, limit the doubles, and try to play bogey golf. So my game is I gotta say, my game right now is better than it's ever been. And unfortunately, for most people, golf is really a lot of fun when you're playing well.
It really is, isn't it?
And otherwise, it's really frustrating and difficult and emotional, and that's why we do Golf Smarter, to try to help people get to that spot too. I've learned so much from so many different teachers, and it's trying to weed out, what works for me, what doesn't. That's the hard part.
That is the hard part.
Because it's like this deep dive into golf instruction, like a master's class on golf instruction is what this feels like.
Well, yeah. And it's gotten, we're learning so much more about it now, which is absolutely incredible. And you talked about the technology with the golf ball. Now we have 3D, gears, 4D. They're getting ready to come out in September. I was talking to this company where we're going to have 3D done off an iPhone. So they're going to be able to replicate our swings 3D to look at some
because of the
more
LiDAR
movements.
camera.
Yeah, and AI and just all this stuff is changing everything. And somebody said to me, we were in this meeting the other day, they go, "Boy, they're going to put us golf instructors out of a job." I said, "Oh, no. It's just going to confuse people more, because of all this stuff." And it always has. All this stuff has always confused people. And I feel like the biggest thing about golf is learning about golf is conception. What do you think you're supposed to do? I just had a lesson with somebody the other day who was brand new, just started, and I looked at her swing, and she was trying to lift the ball up in the air. And I said, "So explain to me, what are you trying to do with your swing?" She goes, "Well, I got to get under it." And so she was on her back foot, leaning under, no power. You couldn't hear the swing at all, trying to lift the ball in the air. So the conception was completely wrong of how to do it. And when I explained to her, this is what is supposed to be happening, how you're supposed to hit it, she's like, "Oh, wow." And it all changed on how she did things. Speed was created and other things like that. So it's just, golf is, if we don't have a good picture in our mind, and most people don't, of what we're supposed to do, it's an absolute mess. And I feel like with all the different things you hear out there today, and most of it's good, that you hear the instructions good. It's just a matter of, like you said, is it for you? Is this stuff for you? So that's why I focus mainly on stuff that, how do you get better? What makes the golfer better, and how do you get better? And I think that is what is the biggest part that is still missing. And I feel like Rick Sessinghouse, who you had on this, is really hit this hard, is, how people get better. And so I've just spent a ton of time trying to learn about motor patterns, how we learn. And that's what's really cool, because we didn't have studies about this 20 years ago about how do we learn. It used to be, go hit 2,000 balls a day. Well, then they said, oh, no, that's not good. You need perfect practice. And It's like, okay, well, wait, what's perfect practice now? So it's like, everything changed. And, but I feel like now we're in a really good place. If you want to learn how to get better at golf, you can do it.
And we're gonna talk more about what it is that I feel has worked for me. But first, we're going to take a break. We'll be right back. This episode of Golf Smarter is brought to you by Relief Factor. How many friends or family members have told you that aging sucks? Well, sure it does, but consider the alternative, right? If all I have to do is complain about aging, then I'm way ahead of the game. But I don't complain about getting older, and now that I'm on a twice daily dosage of Relief Factor, I can't even complain about the aches and pains that come with getting past 40, 50, or even 60. For the past couple months, I've been taking 100% drug-free Relief Factor, and it's making a big difference. The aches don't hurt as much, and the pain isn't getting in the way of playing golf twice a week. The Relief Factor secret is in its 4 key ingredients. Each one works on a different metabolic pathway to help your body heal the inflammation that exacerbates many everyday pains caused by aging, exercise, and everyday living. If you have everyday aches and pains too, remember Relief Factor is 100% drug-free and designed to be taken every day so that you can get out and stay out of pain. So check it out for yourself. Go to relieffactor.com/golfsmarter and order their 3-week QuickStart. Again, to claim your 3-week QuickStart for only $19.95, go to relieffactor.com/golfsmarter. That's RELIEFFACTOR. relieffactor.com/golfsmarter. Erik, there was a period of time where I was hitting rounds in the 70s, and I got into a single-digit handicap, but I never believed that I was good enough to be there. And so I would start questioning it, and then I would fall apart, and and then my index would go back 12, 13. This time is different, because this time I feel like I have a much better understanding of what I'm trying to accomplish. And a lot of that has to do with perfect motion. and the work that I did with Chip Beck on Perfect Motion, and getting my swing moving forward, coming down on the ball, and changing my wrist position at the top of my backswing and holding it through. I just feel like I know what I need to accomplish, and my skill set on playing the golf course. Thank you, Rick Sessenhaus. Wasn't that an amazing interview? And talking about playing golf versus just hitting golf shots.
Amazing.
And how he's taught Colin Morikawa how to do that. And the other part of it is just practicing my putting. I'm spending a tremendous amount of time on just practicing 4-foot putts.
Okay.
I work on distance control. I'll just putt when on a practice putting green, I'll just putt all the way across the green to see what it feels like to hit it that far. How
not
to feel
to a pin,
on the back,
but just to an area, not to a pin.
Just to the fringe on the other side. Just get me there. I don't want a specific target. Get me to the fringe on the other side, right?
Great.
And then if it's short of that, all right, get me 2 feet past that. Now get me 2 feet past that. So those are the things I'm working on, the distance control. What does it feel like? What does it look like when I'm looking down at my club? And then just focusing on these short putts over and over and over, and like get the feel for that, but also, get it out of my head that I can't do that. That's the thing that so often was just beating me up, that I would get these short putts going, oh, I'm going to miss this one. Oh, I've missed this so many times. And now I'm just feeling like, okay, I can just stand over this. I know what I need to do. Let's get a rhythm going. So I'm not thinking about the putt, and I get this 1, 2, 3 rhythm going, on the swing. So I just am focused on something else. Yep. And I'm trying to get my putts into the, 31 putts per round in. And when I do that, I'm scoring low. And it's one thing to be scoring low and feeling good about it, but it's another thing to feel confident about your game when you're playing it.
Yeah. Well, there's that whole separation you said of, you used to be able to shoot in the 70s, but yet you didn't feel good about it. And
I didn't believe it. Yeah.
You didn't believe it. Right. But let me ask you this big difference. Here's what I bet the difference is. Since you've done Perfect Motion, you understand now, don't you, how your body moves and what you're trying to do, like an intent. Do you have an intent over the ball of what you're trying to do with your body now?
Yes.
Okay. Before, did you?
No.
So your body may have been doing one thing one time, a little bit different.
And I didn't even know I was doing those things.
Yeah, right.
And that's what I think is so interesting about watching golfers, and most amateur golfers that I play with, that are like, oh, I lifted my head. Oh, I did all these things. And you're like, are you sure you did that? Do you have any clue? And I made if I ever make any suggestions to anybody, like I played yesterday, playing with two guys that I play with regularly, one I haven't played with in a while. And one of the guys, I told him, I said, do you mind if I make a strategic suggestion? And he goes, no, I would love to hear from you on this. I said, because I don't like making swing mechanic, advice. I said, you seem to be trying to get the ball to just drop over the edge of the hole. And so you're coming up short on everything, your chips, your putts, everything. You're coming up 2-3 feet short. Why don't you play past the hole from now on? Try playing just a little bit past the hole. He hit a 20-foot putt after that. His scoring from that point on just got better. And he just kept pointing at me like, you the man. Thank you, man.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's good. That's good stuff.
Yeah. And that's the kind of, that's the kind of golf smarter stuff that I like to share with people. It's like these little tidbits of strategic and course management skill sets. I'm in no position to help anybody with their swings.
Well, I mean, the thing is, you can save so many strokes. Like, I don't know how many you did for that guy that day. Who knows? But by strategic, I always tell people, if you shoot in the 80s, I can usually go take 5 or 6 strokes off somebody's game, going to play with them. And it's more
really?
In the 90s more.
Just playing lesson
with them. Yeah. Just this is what you're doing. And they're like, oh wow, really? And it's just stuff that they're just not aware of. And putting is that interesting one. I feel like the Dave Pels thing of 18 inches past the hole, how that became biblical. I have no idea why. I don't like it. I think it's bad. But because what happens is when you go, you got to get to the hole, right? To make it in. But the thing is, the harder you're going at the hole, the smaller the hole becomes.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Because it just doesn't have as much room to drop in. And then people always point to anomalies like Tiger. Well, look at him. He banged it in. But he's the anomaly. Most people really drop the ball in the side and whatever. They don't bang. They're not hard putters. They're not Arnold Palmer. And, Arnold Palmer had a pretty short career of winning anyways. So you shrink the size of the cup, the faster the ball is going, into the hole. It just doesn't have as much room to drop. But that's why I think the range going past it should be different for each one. But it shouldn't be 18 inches for every putt. I find that odd that became biblical, but it did somehow. And everybody quotes it, and just like all those other things out there. But
I even told my friends, I said, look, if my putt comes up short, that was a bad putt. And they'll go, oh, great putt. Wow. You just, it's like you're 3 inches from the hole. I'm 3 inches short. There was never a chance that was going to get in. Yeah. If I get the ball 3 inches past the hole, then I'm happy with the putt. Now, as Joe Parent once said, the Joe author of Zen Golf.
Yeah.
Well, you made the putt, you just didn't hole it. And I use that all the time. It's like, I made the putt that I was trying to make. Okay, it didn't go in, but I'm going to take the tap in. Yeah.
Well, here's the other thing I think is really bad for people to do, and you got to tell me if you do this or not, but the lag putting to the 3-foot circle. That is one of the worst things I've ever seen in golf. Now, does it work for good golfers? Yeah. Mostly, yes, because they're good putters already. But you tell somebody who's a 30 handicap, 3-foot circle. Okay, now they're aiming for this 3-foot circle, and then they're 6 feet out now. Try to hold the putt. I don't care where you're at. You try to make the putt. You know what I mean? It's not a 3-foot circle. Yeah, you hope it ends up in that in the end. But what kind of mindset are you setting for yourself if you're just like, I just hope this gets anywhere within 3 feet circle because I'm 50 feet out. It's a horrible mindset. Dial yourself into the line and where it's going, see where it's going to fall into the hole and try to make it. I mean, the 3-foot circle is crazy. I've never seen it do anybody good. Now, in the end, it's good if you're there, but not a good goal.
Interesting. But tell me, when you say see where it's going to fall in, let's talk about that for a moment, because that's something I think most people don't get.
Yeah. Well, so I think most people look at the front of the hole, right, as when they're putting. And I think what you need to do, and I talk to everybody about, when you're visualizing your putt, you want to see it going all the way. And your putt may be coming at 9 o'clock or 3 o'clock, wherever it's falling in. So if it's a right to lefter, it's not going in the very front of the hole, it's coming in the side. So you need to visualize that that's where your putt is going, in the side and falling in that way. So I feel like if you have those kind of visualizations, you're going to do better. But most people just look at the front of the hole and that's it. And, like 4-foot putts, back of the hole is a good thought, to think of. Get that ball to the back of the hole. I think that's a good thought to have, when you have shorter putts, make sure it's there and you get it, pretty firm to the hole. You don't want to drop it in, or you want to take a little bit of break out of it if you can. But as far as seeing, you want to see the side of the hole for sure.
How do you, this is all part of, I'm blanking on what it's called right now. But how do you determine where the ball is going to be falling in the hole, right? How do you decide when you're looking at the green, that it's like, okay, it's coming in at 3 o'clock?
So I pick I guess it's hard to tell.
This is the fall line, right? We're talking about the fall line.
Yeah. So I pick it and I go, okay, it's going up here. And when it gets to that point, it's starting to fall this way. And then I visualize it from that point where it's going to fall and where it's going in from that point. But then, if you can just take yourself, the fall line, like you said, if you take yourself and put yourself at that point, which is a good point to stand there, when you're looking at where your putt breaks, go see where that is and then go stand there And then look how that putt goes from that spot. So, hey, I'm putting up to here, and then here's where it goes down this way. Go look at it, and then you'll be able to see the break coming down that hill or whatever it's doing in that area too. But then you have a whole different visualization of it. You're looking at it from this side, not just from behind. So I really think on these big breakers, especially, you need to go look at it from, okay, I'm putting it to right here, and then go walk over to there and look at what it looks like from there. And you're going to have a whole different view of what the putt's doing, and that's making, and then think about making the putt. It's like you weren't successful with your 4-footers when you had negative thoughts, right? I mean, you got to be positive. You got to have positive thoughts about all this stuff. I mean, golf is a game that you can wreck yourself if you're not positive. And I talk to a lot of my students about, like, I'll ask them, what percent of the game is mental? 90% say. Some say 10, some say whatever. I say, well, it's probably 100, right? It all comes from your mind. Your mind controls your body, unless you're one of those people that says you have muscle memory somehow, like memories have muscle. They don't.
Muscles have memories. Yeah.
Yeah. Inside them, they don't. It comes from our brain, but which is really neat, the studies they've done on that too. But it's just we got to. It's interesting that the people will talk about how much mental is, and then they'll just go beat golf ball after golf ball after golf ball, and not do anything for their mental game. And like, I'll have people have chipping struggles. So I chip great until somebody's around. I'm like, hey, I know a great psychologist you can go see. He does he does like mild hypnosis. You go see him, and you know what? It'll be fixed. And you know what? It's true. I see it all the time with people. So telling you people, if you have struggles out there with anything like that, where you think there's a huge mental block, hypnosis may be a reason for you. But also, here's the thing: it's usually a technical issue first. Fix the technical problem first, and make sure it's not a technical issue. It's just like the yips. The yips start from huge technical issues. It wasn't you just don't have a perfect putting stroke, and one day it's like, oh, I got the yips. It's like there's huge technical issues, and most people don't have the yips. It's just these massive technical issues that they have. So,
well, then it takes over everything in their mind. Those technical issues, they don't know what the technical issues. They just know the result, and then that gets in their mind, and they can't do anything beyond that.
And you should never in this game. We shouldn't be thinking about result. It should be all process. And I think the perfect motion is great because what it teaches you a process. What are we doing? We're just going through our process of rotating. And what I have my students do is most of the stuff I have them do is not even hitting balls with it. I just have them do rotational drills, club across your shoulders, just rotational, and make sure they're doing that exactly correct every time. And it's just amazing how much better you can play when your body moves the same every time. It's the old theory of the dog wagging the tail or tail wagging the dog. You want to have your body being your power source. And it's got to be the same every time. Perfect motion is incredible for that. Absolutely incredible. Yeah. So, great deal.
All right. Let's take another time out. As we get into baseball season's dog days of summer, the battles are heating up on the field. But on the Radio Baseball Cards podcast, the compelling stories keep coming. As we wrap up our 4th and final season of the podcast, we'll hear from more Hall of Famers talking about their greatest moments on the field and their hardest battles in life. But in last week's show, we heard from the 1987 San Francisco Giants first baseman Will Clark on his experience of playing for the USA in the 1984 Olympics. Our host is Hall of Fame pitcher and broadcaster, the late Don Drysdale.
Here's another Radio Baseball Card. Will Clark only played 1 year in the minors because he already faced big league competition in the 1984 Olympics.
In an amateur career, that's my best experience. Because now you take it one step further. You go from playing against your nation's best to playing against the world's best.
If you're a fan of baseball, history, or baseball history, then please check out the short stories as told to me and my staff of reporters by the greatest ball players of the 20th century. That's Radio Baseball Cards, the podcast, available to stream right now from your favorite podcast app. Erik, one of the things that you wrote to me about recently was you've been listening to Tony Manzoni. You've connected with the teachings of Tony from Golf Smarter, haven't you?
Oh yeah, I have. So, and I do have the video, which I got from you.
The
And
only
it's
place you
great.
can get it, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's really interesting because I think I've told you this. I came to the conclusions. I would say we have maybe a slight difference or two, somewhat, with the left arm attached to the chest as you come through. We're a little bit different with, I think, but in principle, we're pretty close to the same. And I came up with this, like, it's what I saw on my own and what worked the best. And then I heard you doing the talks with Tony, and I'm like, what is he? This is crazy. This is what I'm doing. And it made me sad that he was gone, because I'm a big believer in going out and watching other teachers teach, whether or not you agree with them or not, to learn from other people. I feel like there's just so much we can learn from other teachers. So I'm sad I didn't get to meet Tony to do that. So I try to do as much as I can by just listening to him and doing or watching the videos. But his principles are the same thing I teach. Golf is, and they're not. People think it's crazy that they're pivoting around one axis. It's not crazy, because if you watch the PGA Tour guys, if you look at somebody like Brooks Koepka, he's only moving off the ball about 1 inch on the way back, and then he recenters by the top. That's it. Okay. So what if you just stay centered the whole time? Because you don't hit 2,000 golf balls a day, and it's kind of hard to go from 1 inch back to centered. That's just a move that takes practice. So just stay centered. But the whole problem started a long time ago. And I really think it was when people talked about this 80-20. You got to get 80% of your weight to your trail foot, or your rear foot. And everybody I see is so far back on their right leg or left leg, whichever is your rear leg, and they're just stuck because they read you got to transfer your weight. And it's like, it's such a misnomer, because if you watch the pros, what they do is so different. They use what's called pressure. Okay. They build pressure into their trail side. So if I just stand up straight here, I can push really hard, and I use pressure mat a lot of my teaching, and I can push really hard on my right foot and watch it spike up to like 80%. So, okay, I got pressure. I could also just tilt over to the right side, and there goes mass over there, which is weight. So I can just put pressure into my trail foot, okay, and rotate around that off my single axis like Tony talks about. And it's going to be a much easier swing. And you know what? You're not going to hit it fat all the time. You're not going to have to worry about going thin. I mean, most people are swaying back and forth over and over. And the biggest problem is you don't get your right trail hip back, which he talks about a lot, pivoting back behind the ball with your shoulders and trail hip, just to make the golf swing easier. And it's once again, it's like a conception issue of what this swing is. And so what I do is, and I work with a lot of people on Skillest. It's the number one online app for learning. And it's the founders, really great. They're really looking at the future of what this is going to become, because I really feel golf is, a lot of people are moving that way, which I guess I was numb to it and didn't know. A lot of people don't want to go to lessons. They're scared. They feel, I don't know what, they feel like you're judging them, maybe, which isn't true at all. People always think, oh, you must just like working with great people that are really good. I'm like, no, if I can get somebody to hit the ball for the first time, that brings more pleasure to me than some guy who hooks it 10 yards to get him to hit it straight.
Wow.
Because that guy expects it, right? I mean, yeah. It's not that fun. I mean, is it good to do it? Yeah, I like the mixture of both. But getting somebody to hit the ball and having them look over and give you this huge five with a smile because they're hitting it in the air, I mean, that's fun stuff, So it's just not, it doesn't just have to be great players. But back to Skillest, and I feel like
please.
Perfect Motion is, I link most of my people with Perfect Motion on there because they can work on their pivot on it. But as far as the turn and using what Tony talks about, I'm having everybody do that, and everybody loves it, and everybody, a lot of the comment I'll get at first is, oh, I don't want to lose any distance. And then guess what I hear? Oh my gosh, Erik, I'm hitting it farther now.
Yeah.
They're hitting it farther, more control, not hitting it fat anymore. They say the swing seems easy to them now. And you know why it's easy? Because they understand it in their mind. That's all. That's the difference.
Right.
I think if you move back off the ball and have to get recentered by the top, I think that's harder and takes a lot of practice. Now, if you want to hit the ball a lot farther, yes, you're probably going to have to do that. But that's a rare case. I pivot off one leg and I hit it far enough. Tony talked about how far he used to hit the ball. He was a long hitter. So it's not a detriment. And if anybody thinks it's a problem and they love Ben Hogan, go look at Ben Hogan's pictures where he pivoted. Everything's on his left side. Everything's on his left side.
Tony's obsession was Hogan's swing.
Yeah, and I don't know. I don't know if he built it off that or was already believing in the left leg. I don't know the two. Do you know where he was?
From my conversations, he said that it was, he had letters. He knew the secret. Everyone thinks they know the secret, but a lot of it was about Hogan for Tony. Yeah. A lot of it was about Hogan.
Yeah. I feel like with Hogan, the only secret's got to be either the elbow coming down, which he talked about a lot, or the pivoter on the left leg.
Yeah. I'm curious if you were to say to your student, okay, I'm going to make some changes to your swing and you're going to lose 10 yards on every club, but you're going to be hitting the ball where you're aiming. I guess then you have to ask them, are you aiming where you want to go? But if you can get the ball to the point you want it to in the fairway on the green, and you're going to have to use a different club than you're used to, would you be willing to do that? And I would think that most people would say, oh, if I'm going to hit the ball, whether it's straight, draw, or fade, but I'm going to get it to where I'm focused. And we've done a bunch of episodes on target-oriented golf, right?
Yeah.
And it was Colin Cromack years ago. But the idea of picking a spot and going after it, if you can get it there, but you're going to lose a little distance, would you be willing to do that?
Yeah, it's interesting because, the only people you're going to find that with is the better player because they would be willing to sacrifice some distance. You take the better because they hit it so far. They'll play a different club. The pros, they still crush it with not using clubs that help them get more distance. But if you take anybody that's mostly scratch and above, they want distance. Okay. And you think about it. Most people walk off the course if they shoot a 76. What are they telling you about? They want their swing.
The shot that could have given them a 75 or a 74.
Yeah, and they
absolutely.
want distance.
People are getting that's the thing about golfers. I just had the best round of my life, but I missed that putt.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, you had 70 good shots, and all you're telling me about is your one shot you missed.
Right.
70 good ones. And all you can remember is one, or all you can tell us about is your 2 or 3 you screwed up really bad.
That's the beauty and wonder of golf, is that do you remember? Oh yeah, I made a 50-foot putt. Well, that was lucky. Okay, so I don't usually do that, but I got myself out of trouble. That was worthwhile. Like I had one of those shots yesterday. It was like never follow a bad shot with a stupid shot, and I had I hit it into Sherwood Forest, and I'm now looking through trees. Like, what am I going to do here? I can go here. Yeah, that's opening is a little. I can do it, but. One of the shots that I like to practice is hitting my 7-iron low so I can get it under trees, right?
Very nice. Yeah.
I punch this, and it's like, okay, what is the distance I hit my 7-iron to hit it like that? Okay, I know I hit it 100 yards. So it was on a par 5, and I needed to get there. I forget I'm never going to get there in 2 on this one, and that's not a hole you want to because the risk reward is way too high. But I found this enough of an opening that I felt comfortable with, and I punched that 7-iron, kept it low, and I was within 130 yards of the hole. It's like, okay, that is something I'm going to remember.
Yeah. I think, Fred, that's playing smart. I feel like most people don't, honestly.
Eric,
I don't.
What's the name of the show, Eric? Come on.
Eric. Okay, guys, the followers of your show, they do. Most people don't.
It's
here's
not
the thing,
just the name; it's how we play.
here's the thing that's so neat is that, and this is, I tell everybody this, do not hit a shot on the golf course you do not practice. Because I'll go get playing lessons. Like, what should I do? A hard 7 or a soft whatever, this and that. And I'll say, well, let me ask you, when's the last time you've hit a soft 8 or a soft 6? And they'll say, never. Okay, hit your 7 as hard as you can, because that's all you practice. You know what I mean? So like the 7-iron, your punch shot that you practice, that everybody should be doing that. You got to have a shot that you know what you're doing with a punch shot. You should hit that at the range, that that shot. But the other thing is, don't ever you can't hit a shot on the course you've never played. And the other thing I notice is, as long as we're talking about playing, is that people take this. If you get, let's just say you hit your 8-iron 150 every once in a while, okay, but your average isn't 150. That's your best 8-iron, okay. Your average is probably 140 when you take everything in consideration. Make sure you're thinking of that average, of what you're hitting, that, not just your best, because that's one in how many times do you actually hit that. It's like, and I'll run in that trouble when I play. I'm like, if I smoke this, I'll hit it 198. Well, that doesn't happen all the time.
No, what ends up happening is you swing harder, and you're definitely not going to get to that spot.
Yeah, and you come out of your posture and everything. So I mean, it's you got to play smart this game if you want to score well. And conceptions of what the swing is supposed to be is massive. How we're supposed to rotate, how we're supposed to turn, and how we use our body.
And that is the kind of stuff that I love hearing about. I love finding out and talking to people about when we do the Golf Smarter podcast. It's phenomenal. We're going to take another time out. We'll be right back. This week on Golf Smarter Mulligans, episode 123, is part 2 with expert custom club maker and fitter, Tom Wishon. In this episode from February 2010, Tom answers your questions about who should and when to get fitted, finding the right fitter, and what to look for in custom club components.
When I designed for companies who supply all the custom club fitters, I used to joke around and call my job of design being like the Baskin and Robbins 31 flavors maker. I have to design all the different kinds of materials, all the different kinds of possible technologies in golf clubs, because somebody out there is going to want something like that in their custom fit set. So if you want forged muscle back carbon steel, they can get it. You want forged cavity back carbon steel, they can get it. You want thin high COR face irons or fairway woods, they can do that. You name it, and the concept of the design is out there to be drawn together with the right club head, the right shaft, the right grip, and then built to all the right length, loft, lie, face angle, total weight, swing weight, etc. for each golfer.
That's part 2 with Tom Wishon, brilliant club maker and author of The Search of the Perfect Golf Club and The Search for the Perfect Driver. This week on episode 123 of Golf Smarter Mulligans, being released this Friday. Both Golf Smarter and Golf Smarter Mulligans are available from where you're listening to this podcast right now. Please subscribe and follow both so that you can get a brand new episode and stream it to your favorite listening device. Now, Eric, I had that shot that was, I was in tall grass, but I was able to punch it through. But the ball was even level with my feet. Let's talk about how to play, because it really gets us in trouble, especially if you're playing links golf. How to play shots of various lies. Ball above your feet, ball below your feet, right?
Yes.
Standing on a hillside, standing on actually an elevated green and having to, you're coming up short. Now you're on an elevated green. You got to get the ball up and over. Yep. There's so many different shots that we never get the chance to practice because the driving range is level.
Yeah, it in a way odd what we do. If we go to the driving range, I hit these flat shots, we go to the course, and it doesn't, well, I guess most of the tee shots are okay. They're right. Like that. But after that, it's like, nothing's
what
the
about
same.
What about those tee boxes that are not level? What about the ones that you have to hit the ball and it's above your feet or below your feet? It's like, that's really uncomfortable. And you start thinking about that. or you
aim
step
it
in
way over.
you step in a divot, and all of a sudden that's all you're thinking about, and you've completely blown it because you get distracted, and now that's what's in your head.
Yeah. So the best advice I can give about playing uphill, side hill, all that stuff. First up, I'm going to tackle the last one you said, around the green, going uphill. Okay. And this is something my dad used to talk about this all the time. He heard this one first from Ken Venturi, and then I heard it, heard him talk about it many other times. So you're going uphill. You don't have to go far to the green. So obviously you're going to hit the ball much higher. So you don't need your 60 degree. Maybe you drop down to a 54 because it's already going to go high because you're swinging upwards. Okay, so your left foot, if that's your lead foot for a right-hander, point your toe almost towards the target where you're going. Okay, folks,
on your lead foot.
On your lead foot.
Okay.
Yeah, and you're going to find out how amazing. Point it towards the hole if that's where you're trying to aim, and you'll find out how amazing the ball is. Your stroke and ball is going to end up right where you need it to be. It's a tip Ken talked about. My dad always said it works like magic for that one. Okay.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you.
Yeah. Try it out. Let me know if it works.
Yeah.
Because it's absolutely awesome. People just love it. But the other thing with that and everything else, what I see everybody do wrong is they fight it. Okay. They fight the terrain. Okay. So let's just say you're going uphill. So, and you're a right-handed golfer, you're going to stack everything on your left side and you'll lean into it. Just like we're strong, we're going to brace ourselves against it. Well, you need to do the exact opposite. Just think about this. Every time you have any type of different angle, have your body angles go with it. Okay. So if you're going uphill, you're going to feel like you're more leaning back. Now you're going to need extra club, right? Because you're going to be swinging more up on it. It's going to go a little higher. So you're probably going to need more club to get it to go further, but you don't fight it. If you're going downhill, you lean downhill with it. So your shoulders are going to be more sloped down, but everybody I see, they fight it. You lean with it. And so the other thing that's huge too, especially seeing downhill, people will catch them on the top all the time. You got to swing with the slope. Okay. So feel like you're swinging low and following the club head all the way down with the slope. And you're going to need an extra club. You don't want to swing real hard at these. Take an extra club, and maybe two if you need it, whatever it is. But don't fight the slope. Just go with it. However, you have to lean with your shoulders.
Yeah. So help me understand this when you say don't fight it. So if you're on a downhill lie, and now I'm going to say you're on an uphill lie because I can imagine myself leaning backwards, right? Yeah. But I've always been led to believe, and I think, that you want to have your body perpendicular to the ground as opposed to on an angle that you would be leaning into it. So even when you're saying don't fight it, but you don't want to lean backwards.
No, you don't want to be
perpendicular to the ground, right? A 90-degree angle.
You're right. Yeah. I guess fighting it would be going past a perpendicular is going to be right with it. You want to be at the angle of that slope. Yes, right. I don't want you going beyond that angle, but just go with what the slope is. So whatever angle that slope is, that's how you put your body at, so you don't fight it. It's going to feel odd at first, but it's, because we feel strong, I think, when we go against it. It just feels strong to load up on, let's say, a uphill lie, get on our left side, and we feel strong. But it doesn't work.
No, because then you kind of just chunk the club into the ground when you do
run it right into the ground, big time. Yeah, yeah. So I think this is another thing, Fred. It's like you don't have to play every shot. You don't have to practice all these different things. Understand this. Like everybody, if they can take away from this, remember what you said, the perpendicular. I like that how you said that. Then you got it. And just take an extra club. Okay, one extra club is what you're going to need. Okay, now if you're going straight uphill and you're chipping, remember you're going to need, instead of 60, like a 54 or whatever, because it's already going to go so high. So you may even need that go down to a 50. That's where you got to practice to see what you need, but club wise. But it shouldn't be a problem if you hit the ball decent when you run into these different lies. But once again, it's a conception problem for somebody who doesn't know, what to do with them.
Right. And what about out in the fairway?
Out of the fairway?
Yeah. I mean, you were talking about the green side. being on an elevated green and hitting up onto the green. Now let's talk about being out on the fairway and you're having uneven lies. You hit it off to the right a little bit perhaps, and there's a mound there, and now you've got 140 yards to the green, but the ball is below your feet. Right?
Yeah. So now if you talk about below your feet, what the tendency is going to be is what? The ball is going to want to peel off to the right on you, right? It's the same
if
thing.
You're a right-hander and it's good ball.
If you're a right-hander. Okay. Yeah. And if it's above your feet, it's going to want to go to the left. It's going to want to go on the left on you. Okay. So I'll say this, if the ball is above your feet, aim to the right. Okay. So probably aim to the right of the green and then just swing away. It's like, for most people, I'll say this, 96% of the people, and I thought it was like 90, but I heard recently it said 96% of people come over the top and slice. Get yourself on an uphill lie, okay, and practice. That'll get rid of your over the top. You'll become more rotary and around. I would just practice all uphill, on the shot where the ball's above your feet. And it'll help you just rotate more around your body, okay? So, but aim to the right, and it's the same thing when the ball's below your feet. It's going to peel off to the right on you. So aim to the left and let it just curve off. Play it. Let it just happen. I think it's one of those things, the better you get is you let the things happen. Don't try to fight them once you know that that's what's going to happen. So if I know it's going to peel off, like when it's below my feet, I may have to take 2 extra clubs and swing a little bit slower just so I keep my balance pretty good. And then I just let it peel off and go wherever. And then I think the other thing is you say, okay, now where do I get to put this on the green? I got to be smart, right? If I don't practice this shot a lot, let's be safe here, where we're going to put it. And, so I feel like,
green.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just go for the middle. If you're not sure, just go for the middle of the green and don't go pin seeking, right?
Well, Decade Golf has some of the greatest stuff on how to play golf. Okay. On how to do it. And if anybody wants to check it out, it's great stuff. It's funny. I heard the guy talking about it, and he's Scott Fawcett. He's absolutely incredible with the data he's got and stuff. And he said, he goes, if you want to boil it all down and forget about everything, just go for the middle of the green. You'll be fine.
Where do you think I got it? Where do you think I got that from? Scott was on the show. Did it come
from Scott? Okay.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Scott's definitely been on the show. Decade Golf is definitely.
Okay. Well, maybe I heard him say that on here then with you. I didn't know if I heard it on his website or not. Okay. Because I watched all his stuff on there too. I mean, he's amazing. But
he is.
Yeah, in the end, it boils down to just go for the middle of the green and you're going to be fine. So it's pretty wild, but we want to go for that tucked pin and whatever. But I would say this: I've done a bunch of playing lessons recently, and this is one. So a guy, I'll give you one example. He normally draws the ball a little bit, and we got on the course, and he had this little fade going, and he's like, "I got it," and he wanted to still play. He's like, "I'm going to aim to the right side and bring it in." I go, "How are you going to play this?" I go, "No, you can't hit that shot right now. Everything's fading on you." And I didn't want to change his swing. He had started coming over the top a little bit with an open face. I go, take an extra club and aim to the left and just peel it over there. And he goes, "Oh, wow, that's working really good." Yeah. So whatever you have, play it that day and be proud of yourself for playing what you showed up with. Don't be so hard headed and be like, "Oh, I got to get this straight shot," or "I have to play this." Some days we can't do it. You know what I mean? Some days we cannot hit our regular shot, or some days we can't do hardly anything right. So just try to play a punch shot and just be like, "You know what? I'm hitting the ball bad today. How well can I score not doing that great today? Because you know what? I'm going to be an incredible chipper today. I'm going to get it up and down like crazy. And then I'm going to putt really good today. And I'm going to be so proud of myself for shooting a 79 when I hit the ball horrible." Whatever it is for each person, Yeah. But everybody's so worried about their swing, where it's like, it's a game of score, isn't it?
Yeah, unfortunately it is.
Unfortunately it is. They don't add up your nice swings at the end. How many nice swings do you have?
Well, it depends. If you're a beginner, just count your good strokes.
Count your good ones.
Just count the good ones and forget the scoring, because it's just going to make you crazy. But I'm going to try that. I think that I'm going to play around where all I do is try to get to the middle of the green. Just aim for the dead center of the green every time, because even if I do that, I'm going to be closer than if I go pin seeking and miss the green, put it in the rough, or it doesn't do my natural fade, and I end up on the far other side of the green. Yeah. But if I just keep going for the center of the green, I'm going to have shorter putts most of the day.
do it. See what you shoot. I mean, I'd try it. It'd be interesting. Yeah, do it. I mean, it's you can't go wrong with it. You know,
you really can't. I mean, it is a good strategy to do. Is just forget about everything. Look at the number that you have, whether it's on your watch, your phone, your GPS. Just take the center number and just focus on that and forget everything else.
And for most people, they can usually take one extra club because most people are coming up way short.
Yeah.
So you can usually grab one extra club, whatever you think it is. And you know, most of the time, if you go over, you could be killed on certain courses for going over. But you know what? Grab an extra club because most of the time, 90% of the time, you're going to need it for most golfers. So just grab it. Nobody, and I think in the end, you know, everybody thinks people care if you hit an 8 or a 7, how long it went. They don't really care in the end, you know, how hard you hit it or whatever. So it's just, you know, do what you got to do.
Yeah. And how often are people going, what club do you use on that? It's like, we don't hit the clubs the same distance. Why are you even asking me?
Well,
unless it's someone you play with who know, you know that you hit the ball the same distance and stuff. It's like, I'm not, we're playing against each other. I'm not going to tell you what club I hit.
Right. Yeah. That's against the rules. It's the rules.
You can't do that.
Yeah. It's the rules there.
All right. One more lie that I want to ask about, and then we'll wrap this up is hitting out of divots. Why is that still legal? Why? I mean, legal? Ground under repair.
Oh my gosh!
Why all these rules to make it? Hitting out of divots is the worst penalty you can possibly do.
You know what drives me crazy is when you're watching a PGA Tour event, the guy's in a divot, and he talks about, oh no, he's in such trouble now. Like what?
Not on a tour.
Difference. Yeah. So here's the thing: if you hit the golf ball first,
right?
It doesn't matter. Okay.
But most people are trying to scoop it.
Most people are trying to scoop it, so it's absolutely impossible when you're stuck in the divot. Okay. So here's what you do: get about 70% of your weight on your left side. Okay. Rotate around your left side.
Your forward side.
Yeah. Rotate around that and see how you do. You know what? And then when you get your regular shot, you're not in a divot, do the same thing and you'll start making ball contact first. So that goes back to the Tony thing and pivoting around your left leg. It should never be an issue hitting that ball first. The problem is you sway so far back, your head goes so far off the ball. When you get to the top of your swing, if there is a top, whenever you're in transition, I feel like there can't be a top. If you got backswing it's transitionary. It's hard to define it. But where you define top, your head should be right over where it was when you started. It shouldn't be behind it. It should be right where you started. Okay. So to make life easy, rotate around your left leg. And you know what? You're going to come down and smack that ball first. That's what we all want, right? And then you're going to get this. Everybody talks about spin. I want spin. I want to learn how to do a 2-hopper and spin it. Well, you can't when you hit it behind. You hit the ball first, you can do it. Awesome. So I think that's the biggest thing I see with my students is when they learn to make this move. And I'm going to say one cautionary tale for people with this left leg or pivoting around your lead leg. Do it in front of a mirror for a while, because the biggest mistake I see people make in the beginning, if you're going to try this, is they'll lean towards the target. Okay. So their whole body will go towards the target at first. Okay. Get in front of a mirror and just make sure you're not leaning towards the target. Okay. Just make sure you're rotating right over the golf ball, not leaning towards the target. Don't take it to that extreme.
And then check your Perfect Motion app.
That's the best way to do it. And one of the best ways to learn it. I mean, it's incredible. Yep. So I everybody that I have that uses it, people fight it at the beginning because their swings aren't good. It's the same thing as practice. They got to get better at it, and they get good at it. You know what they do in a month? They curse it at first, maybe, and then they praise it about how good it is, what it's done for them.
Oh, man. It is so much fun having you at Fred's 19th hole. I'm telling you, this is because we could just talk golf for the longest time.
I love it, Fred.
Yes. I actually have a sign over my putting green in my backyard that my wife found at Marshall's. It said Fred's 19th hole.
No way. That's awesome.
Whoa. I want that.
Yeah. That was a no-brainer, huh?
Oh, easy. There's a gift for him. He'll be quiet for a while. EJSgolf.com. Erik Schjolberg, EJSgolf.com. Also, all your social media, EJS Golf, right?
Yeah, Instagram's at EJS_golf, but you can find all that from my website and just look for my name on Skillist if you want to. Bring your swing in there and have me look at it.
Awesome. Dude, it was great to talk to you again.
Fred, absolutely awesome. Good to see you again.
All right, we'll talk soon, huh?
Okay, thank you, Fred.
So have you ordered your Golf Smarter at the 19th hole yet? Not the 19th hole in my backyard here. Listen, next time they ask what you'd like to drink, ask for the combo of iced tea and grapefruit juice. And then when they ask, tell them it's a Golf Smarter. Follow at Golf Smarter on social media and subscribe to Golf Smarter TV on YouTube to hear the podcasts and watch unique golf videos. Golf Smarter is your podcast for Caddy, and like caddies, we graciously accept tips for services provided. Tip jar is now open. Just click on donate at golfsmarter.com.